welcome to Mysterious Goings On. This is J. Alexander Greenwood, your host, and you are listening to Chapter 13. And I toyed with the idea of kind of making it the Rites of Spring episode, but I am, frankly, even after a pretty mild winter, really ready to go right into summer. And with that in mind, I have a little, well, I hope it's a treat for you. It's a short story out of my collection of short stories from the John Pilate Mysteries series. It's called Pilate 7, and this is one I recorded a while back called Boat Drinks. I don't know about you, but I like a good boat drink. I like a good tropical location. I like the laid-back life, but I like a little bit of mystery involved in it as well. Book of short stories, the conceit of the whole thing, which I've talked about previously on previous chapters of this podcast, I hate to use the word secondary, but secondary characters in the John Pilate Mysteries world having their own adventures without John Pilate, the hero of the series. I mean, his name might come up, or there might be things that are, well, there's definitely things that are tied to him, but it's not about him, and it's not featuring him. And I've had a lot of nice response from that. I just wonder if my fellow writers out there, like my friend Jason McIntyre, who's a great writer, he and I talked about that very thing in an episode or chapter a few chapters back. And by the way, if you're not subscribing and you're not binge listening yet, then I need to work on this, because there's some really good, if I say so myself, some good conversations, particularly with Jason, in previous episodes. But anyway, we had talked about kind of the conceit of this book of short stories being, let's talk about John Pilate, but through the eyes of other characters. And even when they're not directly talking about him, they are reacting to situations that were probably generated by him one way or another. This one, Boat Drinks, no secret there, features the good buddy, I hate to call him a sidekick, but the good buddy of John Pilate, Captain Taters Malley, runs a charter service and fishing service on a 1964 Constellation. Beautiful boat with the teak decks, and that unfortunately got shot up at the end of a John Pilate adventure, but it's fixed, and Taters is back in the charter business in Key West with his trustworthy boat, TenFortyEZ, which is the name of the boat, which all you tax fans will know is the easiest tax form. It's a one-sheet tax form here in the United States for the IRS, and Taters in another life was an accountant. So anyway, the TenFortyEZ is open for business, and he and his wife Jordan are running it, and he gets some interesting visitors who want to charter the boat, and that's what Boat Drinks is all about. So I did this reading a while back. I will confess I might be a little rushed in the reading. I hate to set those things and tell you those things, but I listened to it again, and it's okay, and I had a lot of fun hamming it up with the voices. So if it seems a little clipped here and there, I think I might have got a little heavy with the editing, and I got a little speedy with the read. So but anyway, I don't think it's really that rough of a listen. I really appreciate you listening to this podcast, and if there's anything you want to check in with me about, or an idea you have, or if you are a writer and you'd like to be interviewed, or you want to share some of your work on the show, be happy to talk to you about that. Easy way to find me is through Twitter. I'm at @A_Greenwood, or you can go to pilotescross.com and go to the Clues blog. Just click at the top where it says Clues. You can comment on a blog entry there, and I'll be happy to chat with you. And if you're not a writer and you're a reader and you have something to say about the show, I think the best place to say it is on iTunes, where you could write a review. It takes just a few seconds just to click a few stars. Even if you don't want to write anything, if you just want to click some stars, that would be great. But if you could just write a sentence or two about why you enjoy the show, that'd be wonderful. We will try to get back on track to make sure it's in your inbox on Fridays, and that way you can download it and maybe listen to it when you're working out or working in the yard. You can have it all ready to go by the weekend. Well, I think I've dithered long enough here. Again, if you want to reach me, I'm on Twitter at @A_Greenwood, or don't forget we have a really feisty community on Facebook. Just look for John Pilate Mysteries, or you can go to pilotescross.com. And I do hasten to add one more thing, and that is that I have recently discounted for summer all of my books, every one of them, all of my ebooks, all the John Pilate Mystery series, also my nonfiction ebook on Kickstarter, Success Secrets. That is also, all of those have been reduced in price because, hey, this is the time of year people are thinking about vacations and they want to fill up their Kindle, and I just love it if you'd fill it up with John Pilate. Or if you're into crowdfunding and you want to hear how I successfully crowdfunded the paperback edition of my third book, then get Kickstarter Success Secrets. Easiest way to find them all is just go to Amazon.com and search J. Alexander Greenwood or Pilate's Cross or Pilate's Blood. That'll take you to those books, and then you can click on my name, and that'll lead you to all the rest of my stuff. Okay, as promised, I'd like you to put your feet up, hoist yourself a big, funny, fruity-looking boat drink, and have a listen to Taters Malley on his own adventure titled Boat Drinks from Pilot 7. Boat Drinks. A short story from Pilot 7, a collection of short stories in the John Pilate Mysteries series by J. Alexander Greenwood. Read by the author. The man with a thin black beard from neck to cheekbone and a large diamond stud in his ear claimed his name was Hector, and that his girlfriend was Lambda. Hector and Lambda wanted to book a night cruise to do some night fishing and enjoy the moonlight. Both were in their early 30s, tan dark, with jet black hair and a fair amount of shiny gold jewelry. Bling, thought Taters Malley, cocking an eyebrow as the pair walked in his small dockside office. He and his wife Jordan were poring over the computer screen, trying to make sense of some jumbled QuickBooks entries, when the pair semi-staggered through the door. Nobody was ever 100% sober visiting Key West, but this couple seemed just this side of high, and Taters wasn't big on people getting high, when there was perfectly legal whiskey and beer available on every corner and most of the places in between. "Come on, man, we want to see the ocean at night," Hector said, tugging absently on his earring with one hand. The other arm was wrapped tightly around Lambda's trim waist, which sported a hog snout saloon t-shirt tied just under her ample bosom, exposing the exquisite rock-hard midriff. "We want to have some boat drinks, drop a line in the water, maybe catch something we can eat later." Boat drinks, huh?" Tater said, sitting back in his chair. Hector, or whatever his real name was, spotted a vaguely Caribbean accent, a mixture of Puerto Rico, Cuba, and perhaps a dash of the Bahamas, but even Tater's well-traveled ear was unsure. Taters didn't like mysterious men any more than he liked druggies, and he felt a scowl beginning to gather. Jordan flashed him a quick look, conveying her entirely convincing counter-argument of, "These people are silly, but we need the money," in a split second. "Well, I make a good bottle of Modelo," Tater said, relaxing back in his chair, arms behind his head. "Can you make a pina colada?" Lambda asked, breaking her slightly stoned silence. "I like pina coladas." We can arrange that," Jordan said. "A 4-hour night cruise is $6.50. Lambda's eyes widened. "And what do we get for all that?" "Well, miss, we can fish the deep wreck. That's more than 200 feet of water. We can try our luck at pulling in some yellowtail, mangrove, maybe a little cubera snapper. We can probably get a shot at Goliath grouper, cobia, amberjacks, and of course peep at a few sharks." "Sharks?" Lambda cleaved closer to Hector's side. "Oh, don't worry, little lady," Tater said. "We fish 'em, we don't swim with 'em." Hector chewed his lower lip, thinking it over. "Well, we leave for the night trip about 2 hours before the sun goes down. That way we get to see the sunset and then fish for the evening bite. It's all the pina coladas and modelos you can drink, within reason. If you want to eat something besides Fritos or fish bait, you need to bring it. Also, we'll cut your catch at the dock for no extra charge." "You can take it to just about any restaurant in town and they'll cook it up for you," Jordan said. Damn, Taters thought. I guess we do need the money if she's pouring on the sales pitch. Hector cut his eyes between Lambda and Jordan. "So is it both of you on the boat, or—" "It's just me, your captain," Tater said. "Jordan here stays on dry land and manages things here. She usually goes out when we have large charters, groups of 4 or more." Jordan leaned against the desk. "So what will it be, cash or charge?" she asked. The 1040EZ slipped away from the dock, passing the old gray wooden planks with a whisper. The big V8s emitted a brief cough as Taters gunned it just enough to push the old Connie into the channel away from the dock. He flipped on assorted running lights, his rangefinder and the CD player. Jimmy Buffett's Cheeseburger in Paradise played as the 1040EZ putt-putted out of the Key West harbor. Taters called the harbor master on the radio and announced the departure of the entire Malley Tours fleet. "Admiral Malley, thanks for the heads up. Safe fishing," the harbor master radioed back. It was actually Jordan, wearing one of her numerous vocational hats, but Hector and Lambda were oblivious as they sat in the fishing chairs, mounted on the rear deck, and watched the dock shrink away in the fading sunlight. Hector drank the Modelo Taters had proffered when he welcomed them aboard, while Lambda chugged a ready-made pina colada mix out of a red Solo cup. The boat glided past hundreds of other boats returning from their day trips, including his old pal Rick Rogers' booze cruise catamaran, the Rickroll, which blew its horn in greeting as it cruised back to shore. 24 exhausted and tanked revelers clinging to the deck like confused barnacles. Taters caught sight of Marlene, a leggy brunette in a red bikini standing behind Rick, waving. Rick, true to form, wore his goofy captain's hat, cocked at an angle on his head. "Hello, Marlene," Taters whistled under his breath appreciatively as he waved and smiled. Taters carefully navigated away from the marina area and headed for open waters. Taters rang a small ship's bell aside the steering column. "Welcome aboard the 1040EZ, one of the finest examples of a Chris Craft constellation in existence. You will note that she's a 38-footer, although size is not everything. Built around 1960, complete with wooden hull. You are standing on the original teak decks, and that rumbling under your feet are the mighty twin Chrysler V8s. He gunned the twins quickly for effect. "She sleeps 4 comfortably, 6 uncomfortably," he added with a little chuckle that was as much a part of the speech as the rote information about the boat's origins. Lambda looked at Hector, who smiled, his eyes locked on the marina and harbor fading into the dusk astern. "How long till we get to the wreck?" "Oh, about 45 minutes, give or take," Tater said, pushing the throttle forward a hair, the engines chortling a bit. "Relax, you're on island time. You'll get your money's worth." Taters hit a button on the CD player, queuing up another tune. "Young lady, would you like another drink?" Taters asked, gesturing at the cooler beside him. She nodded, walking carefully from her seat on the stern to Taters, her cup extended. Taters reached into the cooler and removed the pre-mixed colada bottle and poured Lambda a fresh one. "Hector?" He offered an unopened Modelo. Hector shook his head, holding up his half-full bottle. "Well, it'd be a shame to waste this one," he said, reaching for his bottle opener. "But Captain Taters," Lambda said, "it's not open. How is it a waste?" He popped the top off. "I'm sorry, what?" Then he punched the button on the CD player, which belted out the Pina Colada song. Lambda laughed. Tater swigged some Modelo. "All part of the service. Please take your seat, relax, and watch the sun go down. We'll be somewhere quiet and fishy before you know it." She turned away, facing Hector for a moment, then turned back, looking quizzically at the boat's superstructure. "What happened here?" she said, her fingers tracing the outline of several repairs. "Oh, that? Termites." "Some pretty big termites," she said. "Sea termites, rare species, hard to get rid of, but we did." Lambda shrugged and glided back over to Hector, who had finished his beer and handed the empty bottle to Lambda. "Get me another, would you, affair?" Taters knew affair the way Hector said it was a Bahamian term of endearment. He flipped open the cooler again, scooping up a Modelo and popping off the cap, handing it to her wordlessly. She nodded, took the beer, and walked it over to Hector. "Okay, folks, hang on. We're getting ready to open her up." He jabbed to the CD player and cranked "Let's Get Drunk" by Southern Sky. Taters pushed the throttle further forward, the throaty engines roaring and the bow rising perceptibly as the boat sped into the sunset. Not far from the wrecked fishing site, Taters cut the engines to an idle. Hector rose from his chair. "Are we there?" "Not quite," Taters said, "but it's just about time for the green flash." Hector nodded knowingly, but Lambda was literally at sea. "What's the green flash?" "Oh, it's an optical phenomenon," Taters said. "It happens right after sunset or just before sunrise when conditions are right. You'll see a green spot over the upper rim of the sun there." He pointed at the orange orb sinking rapidly beneath the waves. "Oh," she said. "You know about it, Hector?" Taters said. He shrugged. "I heard about it, yeah," he said, gulping his beer. I've seen it many times, but not every sunset to be sure," Tater said. "One thing about seeing it out here in the middle of nowhere is it's the last bit of brilliance you get before it goes pitch black. Unless there's bright moon, which we don't have tonight, sadly." Lambda moved closer to Hector. "Watch," Tater said, pointing. The pair watched the sun sink further into the horizon, color draining from the day. "On, there it is," Lambda said, clapping. "The green flash!" Tater switched the CD to Tony Bennett. "Unless you prefer some Junkanoo music. What do you say, Hector?" Hector and Lambda turned away from the vanished sun, the last bit of sunlight peeling off them, leaving a fresh coat of shadow on their features. "No, that's fine," he said. "So we gonna head further out?" "You bet," Tater said, turning back to the wheel and throttle. "Hold on." He gunned the engine to life, steering for the wreck site. In 10 minutes, Taters dropped the engines back down to idle, then off. He turned the music down very low. "Time to weigh anchor," he said, climbing around to the bow. "Be right back." He dropped the small anchor and looked out at the gently bobbing lights of other boats a few miles distant, dancing low like truant stars on the edge of the sea. He sighed, listening for a moment to the sounds of the sea, looking up at the starry night. Taters took a deep breath and headed aft, where Hector stood beside the wheel, Lambda at the stern, standing beside one of the fishing chairs. "Hector, are you in a hurry to get the fishing gear out, are you?" Hector's right hand patted the superstructure over the door to the cabin below. "You know, no matter what you told Lambda, I think these termite holes were so 45 caliber kind, Captain." "Oh, is that so?" Tater said. In the shadows, the unmistakable sound of a pistol cocking harshly displaced the sound of ocean lapping against the boat's hull. "It's so," Hector said. "Hands up." Oh, so it's like that, Tater said, raising his hands above his head. You and Lombada here paid 600 smackers for the privilege of robbing me at sea? No, I think you know who I am, Hector said. He was working at sounding confident, but Taters caught a whiff of fear in his voice. You think the Bahamian didn't have no other friends? You think you can just do what you did and not expect to pay? Well, shit, I'll be paying for boat repairs due to your old friends until doomsday as it is. Shut up! You make all my crew all stiff-toe and think it funny? I'm not laughing, Taters said. Yeah, and you won't laugh no evermore, 'cause I'm gonna put holes in you like my cousin did your boat, then we're gonna use your ass as bait for the sharks. You know how to pilot this boat back, Taters said. I think I can figure it out, Hector said. You know, there's a old Bahamian saying which might just apply here, Taters said, adopting a passable Bahamian accent. Don't let your mouth carry you where your foot can't bring you back from. What's that supposed to mean? Cabin door swung open, knocking Hector's gun from his hand and sending it clattering to the deck. Tater swung a roundhouse right, failing to connect with Hector's chin, but instead catching him squarely in the throat. Hector fell to the deck, gasping for air. Tater switched on a floodlight, illuminating the rear deck and revealing Lambda gaping from Hector's prone form to the Glock pistol at her feet. You really don't want to try that, do you? Said a gruff voice from the darkness of the cabin. Trust me, dear, my buddy in there isn't a great shot at all, but he'll probably get you through sheer luck. Best you take 2 steps back and then sit on your hands on the deck, ordered Taters brusquely. Captain is correct, the boy said, punctuating the sentence with the sound of his own gun cocking. Okay, I don't want any trouble anyway. I told Hector his revenge shit was stupid. She sat obediently next to Hector, still trying to recover from Tater's solid right fist to his windpipe. You got that right, Tater said. And you made me miss the green flash, Buster Campbell said, hauling his bulky form from the cabin onto the deck, handing Taters a pair of handcuffs as he came. Next time you wait in the damn head below decks. What if that gal had needed to pee? Ain't gonna be a next time, Taters said. He pulled Hector's hands behind his back and roughly applied the cuffs. Besides, I had a gun hidden in the cooler, just like President Reagan always had a .38 in his briefcase. He did not, Tater shrugged. True story, saw it on the History Channel. What about her? Lock her in the head. Sounds good, Tater said. Sorry, young lady, I dropped the deuce in there before the action started. I think there's some Glade in there somewhere. Lambda frowned. Just great, Hector. I hate you. She spat at Hector's prone form as Buster hustled her to the head below deck. Fuck you, chica! Hey, zip it, Tater shouted at Hector. What about Neckbeard's ghost here? We'll leave him out here on deck where he can be of use. After securing Lambda in the head and pushing the handcuffed, heaving Hector to a corner of the deck, Buster plopped down in one of the fishing chairs, resting his feet on Hector's back. Beer? Taters asked. Buster nodded assent and accepted it, his gun back in his holster. You know, I think this is 2 you owe me now, Malley, he said, brushing beer foam off his bushy mustache. You take it up with John Pilate. This is all on his tab, Tater said, laughing, gunning the throttle and pointing the 1040EZ back towards Key West. The end. For more stories from Pilot 7, visit Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and wherever ebooks are sold. For more information about the John Pilate Mysteries, please visit pilotscross.com.
Saturday, November 23rd.
They gave me 28 shock treatments and literally raped my soul.
A must-see documentary special.
We have a society where psychiatrists can put 400 volts through the brain of a child.
Electroshock is being passed off as therapy.
Therapy or torture. Saturday, November 23rd. Only on Scientology Network. DirecTV Channel 320 or online at Scientology.tv.
And now, a thought from Geico Motorcycle.
It took 15 minutes to take a spirit animal quiz online.
Please be the cheetah. Please be the cheetah.
And learn your animal isn't the cheetah, but the far less appealing blobfish.
Oh, come on.
To add insult to injury, you could have used those 15 blobfish minutes to switch your motorcycle insurance to Geico.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on motorcycle insurance.